Robert Plank Show, episode 31, the self-recharging bank account. Use Facebook ads and retargeting to create a flow of endless leads and sales. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Robert Plank Show, where we talk about internet marketing, working from home, and making money online. And you know what? I just got back from a run outside, and I don't know if you've ever done any kind of exercise. I'm not super athletic or anything like that, but when I haven't been out for a run in a while, I do my best to build up endurance. And the only way I know how to do that is basically to run for 1 minute and then walk for 1 minute. Even if I'm running slow or jogging, if I just do enough of that, then it becomes much easier to run for 2 minutes, right? And then walk for 1 minute, and then run for 2 minutes. And once you do that, it becomes easier to run for 3 minutes, or run for 4 minutes, and then walk for 1 minute. And, I was just out, by the canals doing that a few minutes ago, and what I notice about when I actually make progress and do better and improve myself is that I end up doing more than what's required of me. So I'll be running and I'll be thinking, all right, I'm doing 3 to 1, so I'm going to run for 3 minutes and walk for 1 minute. And then I, count in my head as I'm running. And as I get close to 3 minutes, I'm like, I could push myself a little further. I could go 3 minutes, 20 seconds, 3 minutes, 30 seconds, even 4 or 5 minutes before going back to the 1 minute walk. And that's the attitude that you have to have, because, you're above average just by listening to this podcast. And the average people, what do? They take shortcuts, they cut corners. They will say, okay, I'm going to run for 1 minute, walk for 1 minute. Let me just run for 30 seconds. Let me just run for 10 minutes. Let me just go walking in general. And so it's kind of tough to explain, but as entrepreneurs, we don't have that big boss looking over our shoulder, and we have run into roadblocks and screwed up in the past, and it's up to us to keep it going and to put more into things than we are expected. Now, that doesn't mean be a workaholic. It doesn't mean put in double the hours or double down on something that's not working. But if I tell you to go out and create this business and create an information product, create a digital product, then make 2 or 3. If I tell you to go up there and spend $100 in ads, then spend $200 in ads. It's up to you, no matter what niche or what industry. If you're putting out a membership site, coaching program, just plain old ebook or physical product, whatever it is, it's up to you to put in more of what you're asked. And the best way I know about doing that is to do 4 daily tasks. 3 tasks that are about 45 minutes in length, and then 1 task that's about 10-15 minutes in length every single day. And by doing that, you'll build up the endurance that most people who do 20, 30 tiny things and then are dead the rest of the week will not be able to catch up with you. So today, we're going to be talking about these things called Facebook ads and retargeting. And so, one thing that I always wish I had focused on early on was traffic. And it's one of those love-hate relationships, because when you think about traffic, there's free traffic and there's paid traffic, right? And now free traffic means there's a lot of guessing, and there's a lot of voodoo, and there's a lot of putting out thousands of things and hoping that 10 of them will work out, right? Put out 10 articles and 10 blog posts, and put out 1,000 articles, right? And then 10 of those will pay off. Or put out 10 articles, and maybe one will actually pay off and lead to a sale. And so, you hear a lot of stuff like, you need to have all these backlinks and search engine optimization. And that's a good way to do a lot of work and then get it slapped down by Google the next month when they change their algorithm. So, this stuff called free traffic, it's okay, but the best way to have free traffic is to put out a lot of helpful, useful content. Like I have a blog at robertplank.com. We have this podcast. And the reason why we do that is to put out so many things that if someone is searching for whatever variation of set up a membership site, create a sales letter, run a webinar, that content will be helpful, and they will search for that, and they will end up on my site, and they will end up opting in or buying, and that's the name of the game, opting in or buying. And so, I used to try all this different garbage traffic, buying up clicks or doing ad swaps or solo ads, and that's a good way to get a bunch of people to sign up to your email list, but not a really great way to get anyone to buy. I mean, some of these people that you can basically trade clicks with, they'll send a ton of leads to you, and you can add, easily 1,000, 10,000 subscribers to your list, and not a single one will buy. And most of them won't even click. So, I mean, then it gets to that point where that's not what you want. It's not very useful. And then you hear people who kind of go in the other extreme and they say, well, you know what? You need to have a well-converting offer before you get any traffic. There's no point in getting traffic if your offer's not converting. But then they can't really tell you what's going to convert or not, and they fall back on well, you should just split test that cop-out, right? And, I mean, the thing about that is you're never really going to know for sure why people buy, or you're never really going to know for sure if you have a web page, and if you say, okay, well, if this is going to convert at 10% or 2%, it depends on a lot of things. It depends on the traffic, and at the end of the day, the best thing you could do is just guess. It's more important to have something out there and send some traffic to it than it is to wait 2, 5, 6 years for it to be perfect before sending in any traffic, because by then that thing you created will be out of date. So it's more important to have something and have your best guess and have your ear to the ground in your marketplace and say, well, okay, well, if I sell WordPress plugins, they're all looking for this. If I sell weight loss, they're all kind of burned out by these other alternatives and they're looking for this solution. And so, I mean, you might hear about this thing called split testing, and I mean, honestly, I don't split test anymore, and I used to, and I learned quite a bit, and I integrated a lot of what I discovered from split testing into a plugin called papertemplate.com, and it has all the split test, headlines and designs and all these little tiny things that I discovered from these things called split testing. What frustrated me with this thing called split testing, I won't get on this for very long, is that you would basically have to split test for quite a while in a lot of cases. And a lot of people, they would split test and they'd say, oh, cool, I got 10 sales, and 8 of those sales bought from this variation of my web page where I had a blue headline, and then 2 people bought when I had a red headline. So therefore, never have a red headline, always have a blue headline. And they would come to all these weird conclusions based on just a handful of sales. And I would be thinking, well, you split tested a red headline that had this text and a blue headline that had that text. You don't know. You weren't scientific about it. You didn't know if people bought because the headline was this color or because of what the headline said. And the other thing that frustrated me was, I would use this tool called Google AdWords. They have a thing called a Google Website Optimizer built in, and that would actually let the test run sometimes for a very long time. Sometimes it would know right away after 20, 30 sales. Sometimes it would take over 1,000 sales for it to finally decide, okay, well, now this one variation of your web page, you have a web page with a blue headline and says some stuff and has a button to buy. This one outpulled the one with the red headline. Sometimes it took literally thousands of sales or thousands of opt-ins before it would come to the conclusion, and many times it would just break even. It would say, well, there's really no difference after running this thousands of times. They would do these statistical calculations, and then they would say, okay, well, after all these thousands of times, we've concluded that there's no difference, and so this isn't a variable you should be testing. And so it just frustrated me when I would run a real split test and let this thing, and sometimes, one would pull in the lead and the other one would pull back, and it would just frustrate me when I would actually run a real split test, and I'd see people who would test against 10 sales, which wasn't enough. And so just at the end of the day, it just came down to, well, yeah, I could delay this and that amount of income, and I could put in all these hours in testing, when what a better use of my time is just to get more traffic. Right? Because if I get to a point where, all right, this sales letter converts at 2% or 5.25%, I say, okay, well, either I could put in all this time and wait all this time and get it to 6 or 7%, or I could just double the traffic and then double the amount of sales. And so it just gets to the point where you're going so steep up that hill that you say, okay, well, if my web page converts at 5%, so let's say you sell something for $7. And if 100 people come to that web page, 5 of them buy from you at $7. Okay, so you get to that point where you say, okay, well, I could try to get it up to 10%, which is like a huge unheard of number, or just send double the number of clicks, or add and upsell, things like that. And so that's when I used this tool called AdWords. And I don't recommend Google AdWords anymore just because they're very trigger happy and shutting you down. And I've heard of some people who've kind of gone back, but now I'm afraid because now you can get your Google Ads account turned back on, but now all the Google accounts are connected. So honestly, I'm afraid of, if I go back to Google AdWords, losing my Gmail, losing my YouTube. And if I'm totally off base here, can you just email me at robertsplank.com, ROBERT@ROBERTPLANK.com, and let me know if I'm totally wrong here. But I'm just afraid of using Google AdWords. But the thing about Google AdWords, well, you know what? There's a secret to it, and we're going to get to it in just a second. But first, I'm going to let you know that today's call is sponsored by MembershipCube.com. That's MEMBERSHIPCUBE.com. And if you too want to own your own membership site, you can write your own paycheck and start collecting residual income just like the students of my last class did in record time. So be the next person to join me at membershipcube.com. That's MEMBERSHIPCUBE.com, and we'll pay for your membership site software out of our own pocket. So go there right now, and you're about to discover the most complete course on membership sites ever created, and that's at membershipcube.com. So back to the regularly scheduled program. What was the big secret with Google Ads? The big secret was kind of like, it was very similar to free traffic. Put out a bunch of things, measure what comes back, and then just narrow it down and limit it down to the handful of 5 or 10 things that actually make money. And so when I used Google AdWords, I promoted a plugin of mine called actionpopup.com. This is a WordPress plugin. You install it, and it allows you to put any kind of pop-up on your web page. It still sells all day long, every day, even to this day. So this thing called Action Popup, I had the sales that are, good enough, and I had done all my little split tests and done all these little changes, and it sold pretty well. And I wanted to just get more of that kind of traffic. So I basically bid on these different keywords, right? So if someone's searching a Google search, WordPress pop-up, Lightbox pop-up, exit pop-up, I would advertise on these things, and I would try different kinds of things in the ad, and usually, big surprise, the simplest ad that just said what it was, instead of trying to be clever, I would just say WordPress pop-up plugin, and then, get it now, installs in 60 seconds. And so I would just run those ads, and I started off with about 100 different keywords I was targeting, and then some of the keywords, a lot of them clicked but none of them bought. I turned those off. A lot of the keywords, they clicked, but it was just really expensive, $2 or $3 a click. Turn those off. But then there were a handful of keywords where I got 1.25%, 1.5% click-through rate, sometimes 2%, and I'd pay 20 cents, 30 cents, 50 cents a click into a web page that converted, I think, 2-point-something% at $47. So I knew that, okay, well, if I convert at 2% at $47, well, then I have about a 98 cent or so visitor value, right? So on average, if someone clicks on my site, on average I'll get about 98 cents. So I knew that if I could if I could bid at 97 cents, 96 cents, 95 cents, 50 cents, all that's profit if I know that I can continue that going. And so the thing about that was I narrowed it down, and there were probably only about maybe, let's just say 7 or 8 keywords that were actually profitable, and I had a really tough time expanding out from there. But from running those ads, I was easily able to get maybe 1 to 3 extra sales a day just from doing nothing, just from recycling the profits I already had. And that's the logic that you can take when it comes to the more modern day version of that, which is Facebook. So Google ads are fine, but the problem with Google ads is that it's drive-by traffic. If someone is searching for a WordPress pop-up, I don't know if they're just, looking around, or maybe they're trying to troubleshoot something with their own WordPress pop-up. They're looking for a free WordPress pop-up if they're ready to buy. And so, we don't really know who they are, what they want. But if we can find someone who maybe they have found the Facebook page for Aweber, which is a web host, or for Bluehost, GoDaddy, Namecheap, and maybe if they've liked any of those things, we know that if someone clicks the like button on Namecheap, we know they probably use Namecheap. If someone clicks the like button on GoDaddy, they probably do use GoDaddy, whether that's for domains or for web hosting, but it's not just like any person who's never heard of having their own website would click on GoDaddy, or I mean, take your pick, Mailchimp, Constant Contact, any of those. So what we can do is we can run ads to those interests. And well, then the question is, well, what do we send them to? And I mean, early on, I tried things like setting up a fan page, and I have a fan page for this podcast. We have a fan page for our company, but I mean, the problem with a lot of fan pages is there's rabid fans and there's non-rabid fans, right? If you have a sports team or something like that, it's really easy to get someone to say, yeah, I like the Boston Red Sox. I'm going to click the like button on that. But is someone really going to say, yeah, WordPress? Well, some people are, but is someone really going to say, yeah, Action Pop-Up? I mean, it's one of those things where there comes to a point where I'm not sure if it's something you really want to brag to your friends about, right? If you like Weight Watchers, well, maybe, right? Because if you click the like button on Weight Watchers, I mean, maybe someone will make fun of you, maybe not. If you click the like button on Tony Robbins, okay, well, if you have other friends that like Tony Robbins, well, sure, but I mean, what if your mom saw that? What if your grandma saw that? What if your brother-in-law, your cousin saw that? They'd be like, oh, isn't that the infomercial guy? So there's definitely something there, something about like with Facebook as far as when people see what you like, there's a few things that are like kind of taboo, right? And so then we try to figure out, okay, well, maybe that's not necessarily going to work. Facebook has this thing where you can import your email list. Well, that gave us a few thousand fans. They have a thing where you can invite your friends, but then, friends don't really want to have that stigma. Or like, I invited hundreds of friends to some kind of like WordPress plugin Hall of Fame fan page, and like, I don't even think we got one person to accept that invitation. So then we said, all right, well, this free stuff on Facebook's not going to work. Now we need to run some real ads. Well, the problem with running ads to if you're running ads to other like model train builders, that's one thing, right? But if you're running an ad to other internet marketers, what's usually going to happen is you're going to get a ton of clicks from all your competitors. From everyone else, just kind of, ooh, I see this ad from Robert Plank. I wonder what he's doing. They click over with zero intention of buying, with zero intention of opting in, and they just click over just to kind of see what I'm up to, just to kind of see if there's anything that they can learn or steal, maybe like duplicate this ad with their own business. So that didn't really work. And you know what? I mean, you see marketers, and they'll sell these courses about, well, what you have to do is make a funnel and make an opt-in page, a squeeze page, make a web page where there's nothing else to do other than sign up, put in your email address. And I mean, I've signed up for a few of those, and I mean, I can't even remember the last time. It's been years since I last clicked on a Facebook ad and then entered in an opt-in form, unless it was something really, really good. I even didn't really do it back then. And so when I did it personally, I got about 1% opt-in rate on this on these Facebook ads, right? And so I mean, if I promoted my products, which is really easy to do, I'd at least somewhat more or less break even with Facebook ads. But sending to an opt-in page, I got a 1% opt-in, and I think the way the math worked out was I was paying about $10 for every person that opted in, and it wasn't even that many. It was like a handful a day. And I mean, if I could get that down to even $1, even 50 cents, I mean, all day freaking long, I'd build a list on $1 an opt-in. But $1 a click, or if it's like 10 cents a click even, but then only 1% opt-in, so then I'm paying, is that math right? Yeah, 10 cents a click. If 1% opt-in, paying $10 per opt-in. I mean, I don't want that at all. And so what do we do? All right. After all that, what do we do? Well, I guess so. The first thing is that I like to get as far away from internet marketing as possible when it comes to selling on Facebook ads. And so, I mean, sure, you can use Facebook to build your fan page, but what I like to do is there's two kinds of ads going on right now on Facebook. You can do what's called a sidebar ad, and you do what's called a newsfeed ad. You can find out about all this stuff when you go to setupafanpage.com. That's setupafanpage.com. Setupafanpage.com. And so the thing about this is you can just run a Facebook ad, and I guess the easiest thing to do is just to make it click off of Facebook. So you can run this thing called a sidebar ad. Well, the tiny ad appears in the right sidebar, and you say, if you want to back up your WordPress blog, get this plugin. Click here. They click on that. They go to backupcreator.com. And then we can do what's called a newsfeed ad, which is in the middle of the page when they're just scrolling through their friends' news stories. There's a giant picture. It says, if you clone or back up and restore your WordPress sites, $7 plugin, click here. So then there's that, and then there's a tinier link that says that the ad is from Double Agent Marketing, and if they like that ad, if they want to see more ads from us like that, and some people do, I'll get to that in a second, they can click and like the fan page for our company. And so it's turned into, it's changed from building up the fan base first to now I'm going to send clicks off to my site, and if my fan page gets built up as a byproduct, well, that's just extra stuff. That's extra gravy, and that's people who now I can advertise to in the future for free just by posting on what's called my fan page. And if there's a little bit over your head, that's fine. Just go to set up a fan page, join our course, and you will see what's actually going on as far as those sidebar ads, those newsfeed ads, all those different things. And so, then the issue becomes, well, now what do I advertise to? And that becomes, there's two parts to that. There's, first of all, that AdWords logic from before. We try out different things and then measure what happens and then eliminate what's not working. Now, what's really cool about Facebook is not only can you, with AdWords you can measure, how many people click on your ad, right? The click-through rate from your ad to your site, and then you can figure out which ad pulls the best there. And then if you were really advanced, you could also track the conversion rate of that as well. And you can say, okay, well, a lot of people are clicking on this one ad, but then they're actually not buying. I want to eliminate that ad as well. And so with Facebook, you can also do cool things like see, okay, the people who clicked, the people who bought, are they on a mobile device or not? Are they on the iPad or an iPhone or any kind of like phone or tablet? And we can look at that and say, well, if all the buyers are from this, or if none of the buyers are from this, well, then we can turn off advertisements on mobile devices. We can look at that, and the really cool thing with Facebook is we can say, well, did all women buy, or did all men buy, or did a certain age group buy, or is one age group, like, are we just wasting our money on women 45 to 55? And so we can narrow it down really well from that. And so the thing with Facebook, so there's that part of it. And the other thing is just to change up your thinking as far as interests, right? So we said earlier that if someone clicked the like button on MailChimp, Aweber, GetResponse, Constant Contact, any of these brands that you might have heard of, well, then they're definitely interested. So we don't want to run a Facebook ad to the interest internet marketing, because, what would show up if we said, all right, we want to target someone who's put internet marketing in their profile, they've gone and actually added it in. And I don't know about you, but I don't have internet marketing in my profile, but I have clicked the like button on GoToWebinar. I'm just scrolling through here. Camtasia Studio, One Shopping Carts, ClickBank, AdRoll. So, and you know what? I always hear is I hear people who say things like, "Well, they don't know what to target." And my answer to that is to actually look at your competitors, track down your competitors, and you know what? If you see your competitors' ads, do what all of my competitors seem to be doing: is click over on their ads, see what they're up to, but also like their fan pages. Because a funny thing happens too. If one of your competitors is, let's just say, ClickBank, okay, and then now someone else, like say PayPal or someone, is running a Facebook ad for people who've already liked ClickBank, well, then their ads will show, and you can like them. And so then you end up at this point where if you just are actively looking out for your competitors and what they're doing, then you can go back and look at, in your own profile, which of those pages that you yourself have liked. And if you kind of make yourself as close to your own customer as possible, well, then now you can say, okay, well, cool, I can run an ad just and see if people who've liked One Shopping Cart also click on and like the paper template. I can go and see if other backup solutions, and I could even try and see okay, well, maybe something like Carbonite, which is desktop backup solution. Maybe someone will be interested in a WordPress backup plugin. I'm not sure. Or I can go and look at other popular WordPress plugins, other WordPress like security plugins. Because if someone's using WordPress and they're self-hosted, I mean, they all need Backup Creator. Do they all need Member Genius or Paper Template? Maybe, I don't know. Do they all need WP Import? Maybe, I don't know. But we can look at what other marketers are running ads for, and then like the fan pages of those, and then after a while go back and look at the fan pages we ourselves have liked that can tie into our own industry. Like if I've liked a lot of different WordPress blog fan pages or WordPress plugin fan pages, I can go back and say, oh, okay, cool. Now I can just run and what the cool thing about Facebook is you can run what's called ad set. And you can just run the exact same looking ad, same picture, same wording, everything. But then you say, okay, well, this one ad is just going to run to the ClickBank people. This one ad is just going to run to the VaultPress people. And then I can just, see which ad's performing and which one isn't. And Facebook will actually allow you to put what's called a conversion pixel onto your download page or onto the registration page of your membership site. They will just say, well, here, copy and paste all this gobbledygook, put it on the page so that when someone comes to your website, well, we know that they clicked over to the site off of Facebook, and then if they end up on a page where that conversion pixel ends up showing up, well, then we can mark that as a sale. And then that way you can tell, well, am I just wasting all of my clicks, or are these clicks actually turning into real results? And so I just pulled up my Facebook ads. And the other thing about Facebook ads is I kind of mentioned with AdWords before is that it gets to the point where it stops scaling, right? It gets to the point where it's not like I can get 1,000 sales a day from AdWords or from Facebook. It gets to the point where there's your handful of keywords and there's a nice extra boost to your income. So I'm looking at just about a 1 month period. And the other thing with a lot of these ads is I'll create them, I'll let them run for a few days, and then I'll switch them off because there's a thing called ad blindness, where if someone sees the ad too much, they end up ignoring it. So we have a lot of our ads right now, they're all turned off. I'll turn one of them back on right now. But right now, I'm looking at some ads for Backup Creator, Paper Template, Membership Cube, and WP Import. And so let me just kind of read off some of these numbers. Hopefully this won't be too boring. So we have a plugin called Backup Creator, and one version of it sells for $7, one for $47. We had 3 conversions. So 3 sales at $47 each, and each conversion costs us $30.04. So if I were to give you $30.04 and you were to give me back $47, is that a fair trade in your favor? I give you 30, you give me 30, I give you 47. Of course, you made $17 3 times over. So I say, well, cool. Now that's a profitable ad right there. Another plugin called Paper Template, which is a way to run opt-in pages and sales letters, landing pages on a WordPress site. And this sells for $47. So $47 price tag, and this ad made us $31.40 per conversion. So once again, if you give me $31 and then I give you back 47, well, now you've made money. And if you do that 3 times over, that adds up. And here's the really cool part, well, a couple cool things. Membership Cube is a $997 course. If someone wants to get it all right now, they can get it at membershipcube.com. One payment of $997, you get the membership software, membership training, membership plugins, a bunch of extra bonuses. So $997 price tag. It does have a payment plan, so someone can either buy at $997 or someone can buy at $47 every 2 weeks or something like 22 weeks. And the cool thing about that is on average people complete. And even if they don't complete, they get over half of the way through. So we can look at that as either a $997 sale, or if they're on the payment plan, about a $600 or $700 sale. And I can actually drill further down on the ad to see which ones were a full payment, which ones were a partial payment. But either way, I'm looking right now at 2 conversions at $113.12 per conversion. So not like a flood of sales, right? But just in this 1 month period, just from this one ad that took me 10 seconds to create, well, maybe 3 minutes to create, 2 different sales at an average of You give me $113, I give you back $997. And so we wouldn't be able to know any of that unless we actually had our conversion pixel and we can measure, okay, well, which of those clicks actually buy, let a bunch of different ads run and see which of the interests pay off and see which of the demographics pay off, see if mobile or not pays off, and then pause the things that don't work. So the final thing, the ad I just now turned on is our plugin called WP Import. I'm looking at 19 sales of that at $8.39 per conversion. So this is where the math gets a little tricky, and this is where you might kind of laugh at me, but this is a $7 plugin. Okay, so $7 plugin, 19 sales, and the reason why I stopped this ad is because, well, at first I think it was like $4 or $5 per conversion, and then it swelled up to now I'm paying $8 to get $7 back. I'm still making money, because if someone buys one thing from me, they're going to buy other things from me. And it might not be today or tomorrow, it might take a couple of months, but that still is growing the business. So I'm always willing to pay, I'm willing to break even or pay a little bit more, not too much though, just to get those extra leads coming in. And so that's WP Import, 19 sales, cost me $8 to make a $7 sale. And so, this is just a handful of different things. That's, what is that, 24 sale. And an extra, looks like about $2,500 in sales over a 30-day period, just from a handful of ads. Now, can you live on that? Maybe just barely, but I mean that's an extra $2,500 on top of those extra that income that's already coming in every day throughout the month. And you know what? Just before, maybe a few minutes ago, I guess 40 minutes ago, I'm looking at my email, and we just had 18 rebilling payments come in for our various membership sites, just randomly, and 12 of those were payments that just now completed. So, I mean, every day there's just a flood of different, and I mean, some days are more, some days are less, just a flood of people who rebill, and I mean, I could go off on a tangent about that, but I won't. But I mean, there's a lot of people out there who they claim millions and millions of dollars of sales, and I look and I say, well, what can I even buy from you? What do you have that's recurring? What do you have that's high ticket? And so, you have to have those things in place first, and you don't need to let yourself get bogged down by split testing or how it looks. What's most important is to have something out there, and then you can start sending traffic to it. And so, as you wrap up today's call, I want to give you three secrets that we have for this Facebook ad and the retargeting and the self-recharging bank account. So, one thing that I actually had in the title of today's podcast is retargeting. So retargeting, you might have heard this. This is where you put a tracking pixel on your sales letter, and then it will basically cookie or tag people who visit that, and then you can have ads that follow them all around the internet. And you might have noticed, like if you go to, like Liquid Web does it. I know some of the shopping sites do it. I think like Kohl's and Target and like Macy's and Nordstrom and JCPenney do this, where if you're just on some other sites, it'll like show you like, oh, I was looking at a pair of pants at Nordstrom's, and now I'm on TVGuide.com and I'm seeing the same exact pair of pants on this ad. Man, these must be really popular. Well, no, it's just that they tagged you by going to this one particular page. And so you can do the same thing. You can say, all right, well, if someone goes to Backup Creator and then they end up not buying, and then they go click around the internet, then they'll see ads for Backup Creator. We have people write into us and send us in screenshots and things like that of seeing our ad everywhere and say, whoa, Backup Creator must be huge because I'm seeing it on MajorLeagueBaseball.com. I'm seeing these everywhere. And so you can use a site called AdRoll, ADROLL for that, and that works okay, but the place we've seen some real results from it is from Facebook. And so with Facebook, you can go to the Ads Manager, and I think it's audiences, and then you can create what's called a website custom audience. And then they will say, well, put this code in the footer of your web page. And so if you use, say, paper template, you can put it in there. If you use a HTML web page, you can just put it in the footer. If you use a WordPress blog, there's a plugin called Custom Header and Footer. You can put it in there and just put this pixel everywhere. Put this at the bottom of your blogs. Put this at the bottom of your opt-in pages, sales letters, and if you can get someone else to put your pixel on their site, even better. Like if you're a popular affiliate, do that as well. And so what this allows you to do is build a list of people you can advertise to on Facebook. If someone's logged in on Facebook and then they go to Backup Creator, well then now it says, aha, now I gotcha. Now I know who on Facebook has viewed Backup Creator. And then now you can run an ad just like any other ad, but instead of, say, targeting one shopping cart fans, you can target this custom audience you built of people who have visited Backup Creator, and now it's built that up. And so there's three pieces to this. There's the interest ads, there's the retargeting ads, and then there's the conversion part of it, the conversion pixel. So what we'd like to do is when we create our ads, so first, just to keep it simple, we'll create an ad for Backup Creator, and we'll target people who have liked the fan page for one shopping cart, and so we'll create that ad, and then we'll create the conversion pixel for that, and put it on our download page, on our registration page for our membership site. And then we can look at that ad and say, okay, well, if we got 100 clicks off of this ad, and then we got 2 sales, and if that's profitable, we keep running that ad. So that's one kind of ad that we can create. And then the other kind of ad we can create is then the retargeting ad. So then we create a new audience, and it says, place this pixel on your sales letter. And then we can create an advertisement, so if people already visited our site for Backup Creator, then we can run ads for them as well. So it's kind of like the first wave of traffic comes from the interest ad. So if someone likes one shopping cart, people click on the ad to go to Backup Creator. Some of them will buy right then and there, some of them won't, and that's where the retargeting ad kicks in, and then they will then see the ads, and the ads will follow them around on Facebook over and over until they click over and either buy or not. And depending on that, we can pause the ad for a while or keep it going. And then I guess the fourth thing I want to throw in there is what's called the data file. And so I'm going to close this call down really soon because I don't want to get too off a tangent or too advanced. But the other thing you can do about this thing called Facebook Audiences is you can upload a list of email addresses. So what you can do is you can upload your entire subscriber list. Every autoresponder, whether it's Aweber, MailChimp, whatever it is, will allow you to export a list of everyone who's on your list. So you can take all the prospects, all the people who haven't bought, and upload them all and say, well, here's my master. I like to call it a master list. Here's this group of people, and it'll do its best to match up that email address to that Facebook account, and now you can run ads to them. But you might be thinking, well, is that going to include people who, say, bought Backup Creator? Well, here's where it gets even cooler, because we can dump from our membership site just the buyers of Backup Creator, and then create another custom audience of just Backup Creator buyers. And then in all these ads are running, the ads advertising to one shopping cart, the ads that are using the retargeting pixel, the ads that are marketing to our master list, our email addresses, all three of these, we can exclude the buyers list. So we can say this one ad is advertising to anyone who likes one shopping cart, but not to someone who's in that list of people who've bought Backup Creator. This other ad is advertising to people who went to Backup Creator, but is not advertising to someone who's in that buyers list. This is advertising to all of my subscribers, but not to people who've bought Backup Creator. So, I mean, this is all kind of making sense. I mean, we have these different kind of clever ways of advertising to people on Facebook that we didn't have just from keyword kind of stuff with Google AdWords. We target them based on if they've liked this other fan page that's similar to ours, or if liking that fan page puts them in that industry. So if someone has liked GetResponse, or if someone has liked Google AdWords, chances are they have a website, they're in internet marketing, they need something internet marketing related without specifically calling out internet marketing themselves. So then we have retargeting, so we run ads to people who have already visited our page, and then we run ads to other people in our list. And the whole time we can track the conversion rate using the conversion pixel, and we can exclude people who've already bought. That we're not keeping running ads of people who have bought from us already. Because I mean, if someone has bought Backup Creator, okay, they've bought it. They don't need to see more Backup Creator ads. So that's basically the self-recharging bank account. That's basically how I was able to generate an extra $2,500 in the first month just from goofing around, clicking around. I know that that's not a lot of money. But it's a lot of extra money. It's a lot of extra spending money. Imagine if you were able to throw that into, paying down the mortgage, paying off debt, sending someone to college, putting in a retirement fund. That's just extra, just from the first month of trying. And that's even before I was able to narrow down the ads and cut the fat and take out, like we said, looking back at the ads and seeing, well, who bought off a mobile device, men or women, what age group. And so, I mean, that's all good to have ads and traffic, but none of it matters unless you have something for sale, something to buy. And you can get all that training at membershipcube.com. All right, and Membership Cube will show you how to get your whole membership site set up and sales letter and marketing, so it will be primed and ready for this Facebook ad stuff. So join us right now at membershipcube.com, and thanks for listening and participating in the Robert Plank Show, the self-recharging bank account. Join us next time for Robert Plank Show, episode 32, The Decline of Social Proof. You're going to want to tune into that right away, so check us out at robertplank.com and join us inside of membershipcube.com. I'm Robert Plank. Have a great one. Complete your 4 daily tasks today, and thank you.